Welcome to the Conscious Radio Network's YouTube channel. Become enlightened, have fun, and tell all your friends and family to share with everyone they know. You can find us on Facebook and stay up to date on our Facebook group, or find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our podcasts can be found on Libsyn, iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcast, and more. Most of all, remember to go to our official website at consciousradionetwork.com for podcasts, hosts, future shows, and scheduling. We also want to welcome our international audience. Don't stop now. Enjoy the community. Subscribe today.
This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be on this spaceship we call Earth. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network's The Seance. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Paul Mekas. If this is your first time watching, please click subscribe, like, share, comment, and follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Today, you are abundant now. Our guest today was raised and here in the studio.
Hey,
very rare.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was born and raised in New York City and graduated cum laude from the University of Albany, New York, with a degree in history. He forged a path as a DJ in the famed Catskills, as a radio DJ and talk show host in New York and Orlando, as an affiliate relations director for 3 state news networks, and now leads a happy, fulfilling life as a real estate broker and owner of Beacon Real Estate Associates. Offices in Mount Dora and Orlando, Florida. He lives with his wife, Yvonne, and family in the Central Florida area. He has palm trees in the front of his yard and thinks that that is the best thing ever. Yes. Like I said, this is going to be an interesting show. Let's welcome to the show for the first time, Al Spry.
Thanks, Paul.
I
appreciate you having me on, man.
You're very, very welcome.
So I wrote a book called You're Abundant Now, Embracing Gratitude, Alignment, in the Present Moment for a Life of Joyful Abundance. Just put this book out. It's available on Amazon. It's at yourabundantnow.com, and I'm happy to tell a little bit about it. And, appreciate your show and appreciate the opportunity to be on the seance.
You're very welcome, and everybody welcomes you. Now, we're also looking forward to an audiobook version coming out next year as well, correct?
Yes, thank you. We'll have an audiobook version, and we currently have a digital version, and it's a short book. It's a workbook, a guidebook. It's less than 50 pages. So don't be intimidated by it. I tried to make it concise, easy to understand, at the same time, easy to read. And if you're listening, of course, it'll be available on Audible. And it's a good work. It's kind of me giving back, telling others how I achieved happiness and success in a world where this is an elusive dream for many.
Mm-hmm. And seem trapped like, wow, there's no abundant anything. I got to do this. I got to do that. And they just can't seem to kind of get out there and achieve abundance.
We're all abundant beings. We're born as abundant beings because we're all creative emanations of the Creator.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that'll stop your abundance is your own thoughts. So we're naturally abundant. We're not naturally lacking in anything.
Yeah.
It's people's minds that put them into a state of lack, or I would say a vibration of lack, L-A-C-K, lack of stuff. So this book is supposed to, if you follow it and to try to, work through it, it will raise your vibration over time. This is not an instantaneous process. This takes work. But if you're willing to put the work in, I've put the work in over years, you can achieve a level of abundance like Paul and I have, and success, because in a world that continuously pulls us in countless directions, many of them by the media,
mm-hmm.
not positive media like we're doing, but the media generally.
Yeah.
Most of these are negative pathways, negative vibrational paths. Yeah. So the pursuit of abundance and happiness obviously is a goal for many, but they just, like you said, don't know how to get there. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I synthesized some philosophies that have stood the test of time over thousands of years. similar to what maybe you've seen if you've seen the movie The Secret, and some other philosophies of being present. And this can help you really guide your life and change your life, because you can always flip your own script. You are the director of your life, and you are empowered more than you realize, even though there are forces that tell you you're disempowered. You know, you watch TV, it tells you you're disempowered, or you listen to radio, it tells you you're disempowered, or you watch social media and it'll disempower you. At the same time, making you angry and fearful. So, you have to take a diet. I mean, you have to break a lot of that addiction to information and such. But that's basically it. Really, it's just this. It's just this journey. Life is a journey to try to raise your consciousness level, because we're all made of pure consciousness, and we can do whatever we want, as long as we're not hurting others, as long as we're doing things in a good ethical way with good intentions. You can have any dream you want. Any dream can come true. I've had that happen in my life.
And now, how do you want to empower people by having them read this book?
Well, I just hope that as they read through it, I mean, I'll give you kind of a little brief kind of synopsis of how I laid it out, right? So there's an introduction where I go through my journey. Very brief. Again, this is a short book that you can spend some time on certain passages and meditate on them, but it's not a big long book.
Yeah.
So, I have the introduction, which is from scarcity and stress to abundance and joy. And then we go through the power of the present. And then we talk about the gateway to abundance, which is gratitude. Then we talk about the liberating alchemy of forgiveness, why it's important to forgive anyone and everyone who's ever wronged you in your life. Then aligning with the source of all, which is whatever you want to call God. And I know even if you're atheist, whatever power is creating what we have now, because there's got to be something to create this. So I don't want people to overthink on that point. However, I call it God, or the great architect of the universe. And then we go into abundance being your birthright. I mean, you're born with abundance.
Mm-hmm.
It's your birthright.
Yeah.
And then we do some easy meditation techniques, and then we wrap it up with integrating the wisdom gained from what I talked about, which is living in the present moment, expressing gratitude continuously, not complaining, aligning with universal energy and the creative energy that exists and can always be tapped into, and recognizing abundance as our birthright. So, and that's why I wrote You're Abundant Now, which you can find out more info at you'reabundantnow.com. And that's kind of what I want people to get out of it. You don't have to try to cram all this information in at once. What I would recommend is, first read chapter 1, meditate on it for a few weeks, if it takes, maybe it clicks right away. Then, you can move on to expressing the gratitude and getting the negative thinking out of your head. Most people's thoughts, including yours and mine, are negative. We have to make a conscious effort to have the discipline to think positive thoughts and stay positive as much and often as we can.
So, yeah, positivity is that part of the law of attraction. It's like if we can't attract the good things in life and the things that we want if we're always in this negative mindset. Like, I'm never gonna do this, and I can't do, especially can't, the words that we use as these mantras or these affirmations. Well, I can't this, I can't that. Well, we're already determining our own fate when we say those things to ourselves.
That's right. And then when it doesn't work out, we say, see?
Yeah, we sabotaged our own selves by
So I'm very careful about how I speak about myself. And I really don't watch news, and I don't partake of a lot of television anymore. And I find that it takes my eye off the ball, which is, having fun with you doing a show like this, or writing a book, or experiencing the joys of life with my friends and family, I don't really want to get worked up like that.
Mm-hmm.
It messes with my energy and my flow. And I stay away from negative people.
Yep.
As soon as someone, throws me some shade, I just get away from them as quick as possible. And I try not to ever be in their presence again because I don't want to be around that kind of energy.
Yeah.
I really am careful about the energy that I share, because from doing this show, you've studied X-Files stuff, paranormal stuff. We all have an aura around us.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be careful about who you let too close to you.
Yep. And we always feel that energy. Whether we know a person or not, we can always walk into a room of strangers and feel the energy. Whether we want to admit it or not, we can feel that energy. And if it feels bad, leave. Get out of there. Run for the hills.
I've had to do that occasionally. We had a speaker at a talk at a place that a networking thing I attend, and his energy was so manic. And I sat about the distance from you and me.
Yeah.
And I had to get up and leave and go in the lobby for a while.
Wow.
I couldn't be around. I was too close. If I would have been on the other side of the room, it would have been okay.
Yeah.
But I was way too close. My heart rate started going up. I couldn't eat my meal. I mean, he was a nice guy and all, wasn't it? He just was he was very hyper and manic.
Yeah. Ooh.
And he was speaking very quickly.
That would get me nervous.
Yeah. Everything he was talking about was very quickly, done very quickly and then succinctly. He's an attorney. And everything was very fast.
That was an attorney?
It was good information.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. It was too much.
Sure he wasn't an auctioneer?
No. But he could have been.
You're in the wrong profession, buddy.
Hey, buddy, whatever they do. Yeah. He could have done that. So this is a book that I didn't want to put out. I've been working on in my mind for years, but I didn't want to put it out until I, took all the pieces and kind of put them together the way I think that they should. And then no one's ever written a book that discusses all of these principles in this way. Mm-hmm. You've had people write books about The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, great book. People have inspired me, include Eckhart and Dr. Wayne Dyer, the late Dr. Wayne Dyer, who spoke about shifting energy and consciousness, and then of course the late Bob Proctor.
Oh yeah.
Speaking about abundance, he's the guy who really focuses on abundance. Les Brown, who taught me to always be positive no matter what and do the right thing, and really, that's kind of like the guys that have inspired me, and Anthony Robbins, of course, but they're all really talking about the same things, just in complementary ways. But there's overlap. There's overlap between the science and philosophy of being grateful and forgiving, which aligns with abundance energy. And it all comes from putting the ego aside and maybe kind of ratcheting it down. When everybody in society wants to ratchet their ego up, I've been trying to actually ratchet it down. And you could probably agree with me that you've known me since I was doing radio full time. I'm much calmer, would you say?
Oh yeah, a lot more calmer. Definitely, I agree.
And so, and so
that's off camera.
And so I just find that I'm more powerful when I remain calmer and not focus on what Al Spry is doing. I mean, yeah, okay, I'm me, right? But I'm more than just my name. I'm more than just this body. I'm pure consciousness constantly expanding throughout the universe, right? So are you. So is everybody listening and watching right now. You all are pure consciousness. You all have the power of God because you're all God, right? Mm-hmm. Dr. Wayne Dyer said that. Whether people want to admit it or not, we're all manifestations of the Creator. The Creator's everywhere and everything. So how could we be separate?
Exactly.
We're in the matrix. We're in this unified field, as they call it, right? And so when you understand that everything is energy, frequency, and vibration, like Tesla always said, Tesla gave us modern lighting and AC power, and radio and television, and his patents led to all of that. Why anything wireless? Because he understood frequency, energy, and vibration. He understood how waveforms work, and it's really not hard. Everything is a waveform.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is a cycle. Things cycle. If you notice, every 10 years we're in some financial crisis. About every 10 years. That's really a cycle.
Yeah.
Well, it'll happen in 10 years from now. It's a cycle. As long as you understand cycles, you're not taken aback by them. They're not surprise to you.
Yeah, nothing's a surprise. And once you understand these cycles and these frequencies, how frequent they happen, the cycles, and then they have their own scales too. It's like, how are they measured? The most simplest one to understand that everybody can get are the seasons. I mean, look at the 4 seasons we go through.
Right.
We know they're coming. We know they're on the way. Get ready for them. So now we just got to look at the other scales and the other areas.
Yes. We're in an 80-year history cycle that's coming due in about a year, in 2025, 2026, where everything's supposed to be hunky-dory. So I'm just trying to hold on for the next year or two.
There you go.
And things are supposed to renew and start fresh, and we'll see abundance like we haven't seen in this world in a couple of years. It's an 80-year history cycle. And you can study these things. There's trends and cycles, and it's an interesting kind of niche that you can read if you like that kind of stuff. And even the circadian cycles and the cycles of when we sleep and when we waken and all that, and the planetary cycles, the solar system cycles, the cycles of the galaxy, everything runs in waveforms and spirals, and so once you kind of understand that, and understand that you have limitless power to create the world that you absolutely desire, you've just got to get out of your head. And so, well, you talked about it early, Paul. Programming.
Yeah.
Everyone's programmed to be, I don't know, what would you say? They're programmed
we're
to
programmed,
be lacking,
we're programmed to be what they want us to be. Alan Watts described this in many ways. Don't be part of the game. And that game is the moment you are born, you're given a name, you're given an identity, you're given specific principles, you're given, an ID, you're given all this information. Then you go to school and then you're indoctrinated to believe specific things and say certain things and think certain things and practice certain things. This happens throughout your entire life. We don't have to be part of that.
No, it's a choice.
Yep.
But it does take a long time to deprogram yourself. It took me a long time. I was raised by my mother. She worked and she was home quite a bit, but I had a lot of TV exposure when I was a child.
Same here. Gilligan's Island.
I did too. Yeah. It's funny. We probably watched the same stuff.
Yeah.
But so I got the full programming dose. So for many years, I was completely unconscious, as Eckhart Tolle would put it. I was not conscious to who I am, and so I just decided to slowly, because my life was just out of control. I mean, I would go through bouts being up and down. Not really bipolar as much, but I would go through periods where I was down. Because you get frustrated because you're not seeing progress.
Yeah.
When everyone tells you if you go to college and you do A, B, C, and D, you're going to get E, and then E doesn't seem to happen. And then you start seeing the whole thing shifting. Because when I entered the workforce, it was the early 90s, and things were already starting to shift. And they have been shifting a great deal since then. So you can't count on established norms and things that just because they've been that way. Now everything's in constant flux, right? So, I was in the radio business. I retired from that because the business was changing so rapidly, and not in a good way. And I went into something else. I went into real estate, which I like real estate. It'll go for as long as it goes. if God wants me to take another detour to something different, I'll do that. I'm not a guy that has to just do one thing. You're not either.
Yeah.
So, but tell me about how these concepts have helped you.
Yeah. And as far as like some of these concepts and stuff, as far as abundance, it in my opinion too, it is I wouldn't say a new way of thinking. Is we have to be able to retrain our, not really our brain, but our that inner dialogue, that thing, that voice in our head that keeps telling us to do this and do that and do that. No, it's not the devil. We do have this. Everybody doesn't pay attention to it, but it is just sit in silence for a while and stop thinking. What's the first thing that's going to happen? You're going to start analyzing what to do to not to think. And the first thing that's going to happen is words are going to start. You're going to hear yourself you're going to start talking to yourself in your mind. So what you're doing is you're opening up this dialogue to your higher self, to your brain, and you're telling yourself these specific things. And what we have to stay away from is stop using the words I think or I can't or what if. We have to frame our mind around the new words, not new, but frame our identity around other words such as is, am. That will bring abundance.
Well, sure, but I will say this, and I guess you could call me I'm a guy that I would say I'm a Christian who also has Jewish roots and who also has Buddhist interests in Buddhism, but Jesus Christ did it for me.
Mm-hmm.
I became saved in 2005. It was a very challenging year. There were deaths that happened in my family. Suffice it to say, I took his hand back then. And there's something about that Jesus energy, man. When you're flowing on that Jesus energy, it all kind of, then that's when everything started to fall into place with all of this.
Yeah.
So without him, wouldn't have happened.
True.
You have to, and I'm not saying we have different religions and different, we have non-religious people listening. Really, I'm not proselytizing, right? I'm not just pitching it, but it worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
So in 05, I felt that connection there with Jesus, and then in 08, I was drawn to the Eckhart Tolle book when I was standing at an airport, and it just kind of I caught my eye.
Yeah.
And bought it and started reading it, and then that led to I started, listening to meditations with Vishen Lakhiani, who has a great site called mindvalley.com. He's not paying me to mention it. I just like the guy, and I think he's doing a great job with collating all this information. Started watching Bob Proctor and doing Bob Proctor meditations of abundance. I started to see things starting to pop for me.
Yeah.
Well, there are challenges along the way, of course. I had a show I was working on. It collapsed. I had people turn on me. Just because you're getting enlightened doesn't mean it all of a sudden you're on the yellow brick road. Well, you are, and then all the trees start turning into monsters, and you got the Wicked Witch after you, and so there's always adventures. Like, I don't want anyone to think that by reading this book everything's going to be peaches and cream for the rest of their life. No, you're going to have to work through some stuff, both internally and with people that you know. And there's some people who won't make it. They're going to fall by the wayside, and that's okay, because as you raise your own vibration, other people are going to kind of fall away. There'll be some that stay with you, like Paul here, and other people that stayed with me. And there'll people be there that I have to say bye to, and that's okay too, because not everybody can come on the journey. It's a personal journey for you. You're connecting with the source of all things. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
When you focus on these concepts that are in my book, You're Abundant Now, you're embracing gratitude. You're embracing the alignment. Now, the alignment is the alignment with source. I'm going to refer to God as source because he is the source.
Yeah.
The present moment, right now, is all you have. The past doesn't mean anything. The future doesn't mean anything because that's all coming up from your mind. Nobody can predict the future. Maybe a soothsayer here and there, possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly someone who has some power tuning in can find some aspects, but they're not going to be able to pull up like the winning lottery tickets and numbers and all that stuff.
And that's the thing too. Like most psychic and mediumistic, impressions of prediction is based off of current information.
Right.
We can only predict, with psychic mediumship and stuff like that. That is usually information based off of information and energy, frequency, and vibration of what's happening now.
Right now.
Now.
Not 2 seconds ago.
Yeah. Now.
Right now.
Yeah.
Now.
Remember that.
Now.
Now. Oh,
yeah. These are easy concepts, but very difficult. Because we love our stories and we love making our stories and we love making stories about stuff and how people did this to us in the past and how it's affecting us now and how it's going to affect our future. And, we create all these limiting stories and then we wonder why nothing's going anywhere.
Yeah.
And then we hang on to these losers. I just call them losers. They're nice people, but they're not going to win.
Yeah.
And the more you hang out with losers, the more you're going to lose. You'll be like, well, why am I losing? Well, you're vibrating. You're in situations with people who are not winning.
And then you'll have these Klingons that'll just like stand by and you're like, you're not helping.
Right.
It's like they'll just hang with you and hang with you and hang with you, but they're not contributing anything. They're not really, and they're not, are you helping them more than they're helping you? Don't know. We all have some of those people.
Yeah, you're talking about sycophants.
Yeah.
You're talking about leeches, people that hang on. No, I really think as you progress through the book and as you start sensing your own power, I'll just tell you that we're supposed to help each other. We're all in this together. We're all one. Paul is part of me and I'm part of Paul. I'm part of you and you're part of me, even though we've never met. We're all connected. That's why violence and murder saddens me, because you're killing yourself when you kill someone else.
Yep.
And we're taught to have that everyone's separate. And then darker skinned people are worse than us, and lighter skinned people, and all this nonsense that people come up. This religion versus this religion, and all this divisiveness. So I'm a uniter. I'm a uniter. And another thing which helped me discipline wise was martial arts. I can't stress enough how great that stuff is. If you ever get interested in it, Tai Chi, Kung Fu, karate, judo, any kind of martial arts, jiu-jitsu, Krav Maga, all that stuff. It's all helpful because it focuses your body, focuses your mind. Because we're all jumping around so much like little jumping beans. And the phones don't help.
I know.
When you're scrolling to different videos. And I do it sometimes. And it messes with your attention span, I can tell you that.
And you lose time so quickly. You don't focus on the now anymore. You're lost in the there.
Wherever there is.
Wherever there is. It's the virtual there when you're not in the now. And then you lose the now and you're now in the then. and then you're no longer now.
And then 5 years goes by. And then 10 years goes by.
Exactly.
And then 20 years goes by.
Now you're late for work.
And then you're wondering, what happened to my life, man?
Yeah.
Your life is going to happen regardless, okay?
Yeah.
Your life is yours. You get to live the life you want. You have choices. We all have choices. Am I going to be negative or am I going to be positive? Am I going to bring a smile to today or am I going to frown? Now, I had shingles during my stressful radio show in 2017. I think you remember me going through that.
Yeah.
So I got on medical marijuana, legal, to help with the pain. But it had a nice side effect because now, I can start my day, and if I'm feeling a little cranky because of whatever, I can, have a little medical marijuana, and all of a sudden I feel pretty better. Like this is going to be a great day because we all are we're all at the behest and we all follow our own biorhythms, and sometimes you feel like crap.
Yeah. Yeah. Not every morning you wake up and you're all ready to go. We're not all ready to
So
go.
I have to ramp up in my mornings. Sometimes I'll have a smoke. Sometimes I won't. I'll just be ready to go and be positive and get into the day. Sometimes, I have to masturbate. It's a good way to start the day.
There you go.
You ever just masturbate in the morning? It gets that blood pumping. You got a smile on your face. What the heck?
Yeah. Yeah.
Most people jump right into their phone. They get right out of bed. They go right. Worst thing you can do.
Oh yeah.
Worst thing you can
checking
do.
your phone is
Poison.
poison.
Like putting poison in your head.
Yeah. Checking the
Because
messages.
when you're coming out of sleep, you're at your most. This is when you should be saying, "I am loved. I am loving. I am abundant. I am a happy spiritual international millionaire. I am joyful. I am present. I am loving. I am loved." This is like you should repeating yourself these things as soon as you wake up. The worst thing you can do is jump the phone.
Take your time getting out of bed, because one of the I heard so many practitioners said this. It's like, don't immediately get out of bed in the morning. What you want to do is you want to make those affirmations that, stretch first. Okay. And you stare at the ceiling for a couple seconds. Close your eyes. Start, affirming that I love myself. I am the light. This is going to be a wonderful, beautiful day. And then you slowly get up.
And then some breathing exercises.
And breathing. Yeah. Yep.
You breathe like 20 times deeply every morning. You live another 7 years. That's what they say. It's very important to do breathing.
Yeah.
Breathing gets you to the present too, because you're breathing and you focus on your breathing. Most of the time, we don't focus on our breathing. It just happens automatically.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ever want to bring yourself back to the now, just breathe. And try to be in quiet places where not a lot of stuff is happening. Like you said, in the morning, let's not turn the news on. Let's not immediately turn sound on. Let's kind of get our bodies up,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to be in the now, right? The present moment. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. That's the Buddha. He said that, 3,000 years ago, 2,500 years ago, 3,000 years ago?
Absolutely. And staying away from those obnoxious alarm wake up sounds. I hate those. I got rid of those a long time ago.
I will occasionally use an alarm if I'm on vacation or I have to do something like at a specific time in the morning. But it ain't the
Yeah,
it's more like a
obnoxious.
Yeah.
I use
like, it's a little easier.
I use Enigma, the band Enigma. It's got like it opens up really slow and it's like wah, 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 wah. So you're just like, ooh.
I like Enigma.
Or like Enya or something like that. Yeah.
There's something about those those nice earthy sounds.
Yep.
Earthy.
Yep.
And so that's kind of what it is. YourAbundantNow.com. Your Abundant Now is the book. It's $6. It's like the price of a large coffee.
Yeah.
And at Starbucks, And so for the price of a coffee, I'll change your life. I will change your life if you're able to synthesize what I'm saying. And I'm always available. You can always hit me up. I'm at alspry.com. I have a site. I'm on Facebook. Anyone can always ask me a question.
And we'll have all that information in the description of the video, but you can go to www.yourabundantnow.com.
Right, and you can buy the book, and it says a little something about the book. So there's a little introduction, but that's basically it, Paul. I mean, what I did was I just succinctly took a lot of philosophies that have worked together to help me be the Al Spry that you see today. And I wanted to cut to the chase because it took me, about 16, 17 years to get this information together. It's about right. And so I'm saving you 16 years.
Oh, yeah.
Of accumulating this and kicking out stuff that didn't quite work or just didn't flow. Not that it was incorrect necessarily, but it's almost like, you've got all these courses, pay me thousands of dollars and I'll show you the secret,
Yeah.
You don't need all that.
Yeah, you don't need any of that.
Everything's in the book. Everything you need's in the book. In this book, for $6,
Just one book.
it is better than, in my opinion. Now, guided coursework over weeks, yeah, that's something different. You can always do that after you kind of start getting the feel of this.
Yeah.
But as far as packing the punch, I think we packed the punch.
Yeah.
With this one.
So as a takeaway to close our show,
Yeah.
what would you like to offer or give our information to give our listeners and fans out there, an audience, as a takeaway for the show?
Every successful person that I know follows these principles. And that's and they talk about it. I saw Anthony Hopkins, he did a little spiel on TikTok saying, if you believe in yourself, believe in what you do, and you will achieve everything you want. Believe that you've already achieved it. Believe that you've already conquered it. Believe that you have the big house if you want it. Believe that you have the sports car if you want it. Believe that you have the boat if you want it. Already believe that you have it. Imagine yourself in these places. Imagine yourself with this job or what this profession or doing this work. I've used these principles even before I started learning how to hone them and make them more powerful. But really, you have guys like Anthony Hopkins. He's doing stuff. Clint Eastwood, he's still directing movies in his 90s, successful ones. How does he do that? Well, these principles, Steve Jobs, he learned this stuff early on.
Yeah.
And he created Apple. And we're so taught that everything is about making money and screwing over people. And if you can screw over people to make money, that's better because then you got something over them. And it's all nonsense. Everybody can share in the same big pie, which is continuously growing. Everyone can have abundance without taking it away from the other person. This nonsense that you have to compete with everyone. It's BS. The only person I compete with now is myself, just to be a better person than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
And so if you read this book, and I hope you do, you're going to learn how to go from scarcity and stress to abundance and joy. Do you want to go from scarcity and stress and sadness and fearfulness and anger to abundance and joy and money and a great career and stuff that you really love doing? This book will guide you. And I have no qualms in saying that if you follow the precepts in these chapters, and there's only 7 chapters in the whole book.
Heck yeah.
It's got less than 50 pages maybe total. It all goes down to know thyself. Know who you are. Know what you're about. Figure out what the trauma, because we all go through trauma as children. I don't care if you have a quote perfect childhood. Things happen. You can get caught up. Some people I know that are in their 60s, they still are dealing with trauma that happened to them when they were 13, that they still act like they're 13 even though they're 60-something.
Yeah.
So you have to look into your own heart. You have to look into your own soul. Do the work that's needed. Maybe you need some therapy, some talk therapy. There's nothing wrong with that. Get your mind and your soul and your body aligned and your spirit all in line. And then everything can flow from that. There really is no limitations. Life becomes a lot more easy and fun. Because life is supposed to say fun. Life is supposed to be fun. Esther Hicks said that. Abraham Hicks, another influence.
Yeah.
And so if life's supposed to be fun, why are so people so angry and mad and sad and depressed and emotionally unstable? Well, look what they're being fed. They're being junk food into their eyes all the time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you're being fed junk food, you're. So my takeaway to everybody is read the book. Call me, write me with any questions. I'm happy to help. Because when it comes down to it, it's your life. You're the director. This is your script. And you can change your life at any time. Paul did it. I did it. You can do it. YourAbundantNow.com.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And don't forget to check it out, www.yourabundantnow.com.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for joining us here at the Seance. And until next week, we